She kept knocking on my door at Zam until I finally opened. Part 1. The first knock. It's strange how quickly silence can turn from comfort to fear. When I first moved to Millfield, I thought I was escaping noise. The constant buzz of city life, the shouting neighbors, the endless phones and sirens. I found the old Greystone house just off County Road 12, a weather-beaten place sitting on the edge of the woods. The kind of place that creaks when you breathe too loud. It looked lonely. That's what drew me to it. After my divorce, I wanted quiet, solitude, a place where I could think and forget everything that went wrong. The realtor mentioned it had been empty for years, something about unfortunate history, but he said it so quickly I didn't ask. I just wanted a house that didn't talk back. For the first few days, it was perfect. The forest sang with crickets at night, and the air smelled of pine and rain. I slept with the windows cracked, listening to the sound of wind moving through the trees. Then on the third night, I heard it, a knock. It was faint, almost hesitant, like someone testing their courage. Knock, knock, knock. I turned over in bed, groggy, thinking I imagined it. Then it came again. 3 slow knocks, perfectly spaced. I sat up, blinking in the dark. My phone's clock glowed beside me. 3 a.m. Something about that time stuck with me. Too precise, too deliberate. I got out of bed, the floorboards cold under my feet, and stood listening. The house felt alive in that moment. Every shadow heavier, every sound sharper. Knock, knock, knock. The sound came from downstairs, the front door. I held my breath. For a second, I thought about calling out, asking who was there, but my voice caught in my throat. Who the hell knocks on a stranger's door in the middle of the night? The knocking stopped. Silence swelled until I could hear my own pulse. I waited another minute before I moved. Slowly, I walked down the hall, one hand grazing the wall to steady myself. The house moaned under my weight like it didn't want me moving around. When I reached the door, I stood there, staring at it. The porch light was off, so the frosted glass panel in the door showed only a faint blur of moonlight. "Hello?" I finally said. Nothing. I unlocked the deadbolt and opened the door just a few inches. Cold air rushed in, smelling of damp soil and pine. The yard was empty. No movement, no footsteps, no car lights, just the whisper of wind through the trees. I shut the door and locked it again. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next morning, I tried to laugh it off. Old houses make noises, right? Maybe it wasn't knocking. Maybe it was the wood contracting in the cold. I told myself that all day. I even played music while unpacking, trying to drown out the memory. But that night, right at 3 a.m., it came again. Knock, knock, knock. This time I was wide awake. I stared at the ceiling, frozen. The knock sounded the same as before. Not loud, not frantic, but insistent, like someone who knew I was listening. I got up, grabbed my phone, and turned on the flashlight. The beam shook as I walked down the stairs. I stopped at the bottom step, pointed the light at the door. No movement. I crept closer and checked the peephole. Nothing but darkness. I opened the door, fast this time, hoping to catch whoever was doing it. But again, there was no one. Only the wind and the faint scent of rain. I stepped out onto the porch and shined my light across the yard. The beam landed on the dirt road leading into the trees. For a moment, I thought I saw something. A flicker of white between the trunks. A dress, maybe. Or fog. When I blinked, it was gone. I went back inside and locked every window. That night, I slept with the lights on. By the third night, I was more angry than scared. I set an alarm for 2:50 a.m. and waited on the couch with a baseball bat across my lap. The house was quiet, too quiet. Even the crickets seemed to have gone silent. At 3 o'clock sharp, I heard it again. Knock, knock, knock. I gripped the bat and leapt up, swinging the door open so fast it slammed against the wall. The porch was empty, but this time I saw something new. Footprints, wet, muddy prints leading from the steps to the edge of the yard. Bare feet, small. I followed them until they stopped, just ended, halfway down the road. No more tracks, as if the person had vanished into thin air. That was when I noticed the smell. It was faint, almost like iron. A sharp metallic scent carried on the breeze. Blood. The next morning I walked into town. Millfield was small, one diner, one gas station, one post office, and a scattering of old houses that looked like they were waiting to collapse. The kind of town where everyone knows everyone's business. I stopped at the diner for coffee. The waitress, a gray-haired woman with kind eyes, smiled when she saw me. "You must be the fellow who bought Greystone," she said. "Yeah," I answered. "You could say that." She poured my coffee, then looked at me curiously. "You sleeping all right out there?" I hesitated. "Why do you ask?" She leaned closer, voice lowering. "Folks don't usually stay in that house long. Not since, She trailed off, glancing at the other customers. "Not since what?" I pressed. She sighed. "A woman used to live there. Long time ago. Husband worked at the mill. One night she vanished, right after he died in an accident. Some say she left town. Others say she never did. Folks claimed they'd hear her knocking at their doors after midnight. Always 3 times my mouth went dry. "You're serious?" She nodded. "They say she's looking for someone to let her in." That night I tried everything. Left the TV on, blasted music, even slept on the couch. But when 3 a.m. came, the knocking returned. This time it was louder, harder, more desperate. "Knock, knock, knock." I shouted, "Who are you?" The knocking stopped. For a moment I thought it was over. Then faintly from outside the door, I heard a whisper. It was my name. "Ethan." My heart seized. I stepped backward, staring at the door. "Who's there?" I asked. No reply. Then again softer. "Ethan, open the door." Her voice was barely audible, like breath against wood. But it was there, and it knew my name. I ran upstairs and locked myself in my bedroom, the bat clutched tight in my hands. I didn't move until the sun rose. The next morning I found muddy fingerprints on the front door. Small ones, like a woman's hand. They trailed downward as though she had been pressing her face to the wood. When I touched the doorknob, it was ice cold. That night, I left a camera recording in the living room, pointed straight at the door. I wanted proof, something to make sense of this madness. When I checked the footage the next morning, my stomach dropped. At 2:59 a.m., the door handle turned on its own. Slowly, then knock, knock, knock. At 3:01, a figure appeared. A woman, pale, dripping wet, her hair plastered across her face. She stood inches from the door, motionless, head tilted as though listening. And then, without touching the camera, the screen went black. The video stopped at 3:03 a.m. That's when I realized I wasn't alone anymore.